Deck of Ashes is another one of those games I didn't know exactly what to expect when the developer sent me over a press key, but what I found is a very interesting, almost roguelike slash adventure game with CCG elements to it. Now, the version that you're seeing is not even the early access. This is a pre-release demo build. When the game is released on early access in mid-April, we may do another play of that, but keep in mind that what you see here may not represent the current version of it. But Deck of Ashes tries to hit a lot of different elements in terms of roguelike and almost CCG elements to it. Even though it is a single-player game, there are no multiplayer elements at this time. The story is that the world has been taken over by a substance known as ash, which has corrupted everything due to some thieves unleashing it. You play as a former thieves now transformed into strange creatures who are trying to make things right. We'll talk more about the campaign structure next, but the combat, or I guess CCG side of things, is very different compared to other games, especially if you're coming from this after playing Slay the Spire. As I said, each character has their own unique cards and themes to it. The lady here is obviously all about fire. And how it works is you have essentially two decks when you go into combat. You have your main deck that you'll draw and play cards from, and then you have the Ash deck. And this is kind of like an enhanced discard pile. Cards that are in the Ash deck do not come back, and that also counts after combat as well. The only ways to bring it back either involve stuff that you do on the map that we'll show in a few minutes, or you have to play a card that brings back 5 random cards at the cost of 20 of your health points. If you run out of health, you'll be sent back to your camp or persistence system. But the general idea is that unlike Slay the Spire and other games that combine CCG elements, you really do want a fat deck in Deck of Ashes, since the more cards you have, the longer you can go in combat without having to revise or revitalize your pool. And that's the card right there that you see on the screen. But every time you do that, it's going to make you weaker and makes it easier for enemies to kill you. Now, certain cards, those that have the Phoenix modifier on them, will come back without having to be basically summoned from the Ash deck. But there are cards that can go into your Ash deck that provide you with unique benefits. This character here has several passive cards that only activate when they are sent to the Ash deck, and then they provide a permanent bonus while they stay in there. Other cards can be sacrificed, proccing another effect, and there's definitely a lot of elements to it. Now, after combat, you come to this rest screen where you can use these points, and you can get more of them via the camp system to bring back cards, create new cards and recipes, or fill up your health. Now, this map screen that you see here is procedurally generated. The general play of the game, at least from this version that I'm on right now, is that you have a monster who's coming to get you. That's represented by that bar at the top of the screen. When the bar completely fills up, you are forced into a quote-unquote final encounter on the map. Beat the boss and the chapter is clear, die to him, and it's game over. The map itself differentiates the various events by a color. White are normal, yellow are hard, and the reds on the further or the fringe are the hardest. And the general strategy is that you're going to start on the white events to build up your resources, get items that you can use to upgrade your character or new cards, then move on to yellow and then to red. All the while you are growing your character, whether it's by improving your passive stats, improving the camp, or getting new cards that you're going to supplement your deck with. And there are quite a bit of cards in this one. But it's not going to get like crazy like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone level, because each person has their own unique deck to field. But as you play through, you're constantly having to balance how far you want to go on the map versus return to the camp and restore yourself. You see, you get recipes that will allow you to construct new cards, but if you are killed before you construct them, you lose those recipes. And the cards themselves, as with any CCG game, come in various rarities. Common, rare, epic, things like that. But from what I've played so far, the game does a really good job of being its own one-off system. Everything works pretty well. And another thing that I do like is how it keeps you on your toes compared to other games. In Slay the Spire, once you get a deck of cards you like, then that's it. You don't need to add anything else to it. Here you are constantly trying to improve your deck and either add in cards that will synergize with your build or strategy, or just go for whatever the heck you want and just go for like an onslaught strategy against the enemies. Another interesting twist of Deck of Ashes is that every field that you play on has a passive effect. Sometimes it helps you out, such as giving you a critical strike bonus. Sometimes it helps the enemies out, such as one that every, I think, 1 or 2 turns, you lose a card to your Ash deck. And the graphics themselves have a pretty nice look to them. It kind of looks like almost like a 2D or like a flat hand-drawn style to it. But let's talk a little bit about the camp system next, because that's where the persistence of Deck of Ashes comes into play. So the camp itself has these various people here who will provide services to you if you have the right resources. The blacksmith here can craft new cards, he can improve your camping abilities, and other useful features. There's an herbalist who can also improve your health, can cure you of abnormalities, there we go, or curse cards that can stay in your deck no matter what, and a merchant who can do other features. Each character has a chosen resource that they'll require, and that's what you see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, the key, the cup, the leaves, and so on. The only ways that you get those resources are by either beating enemies or harvesting the resources from the event nodes. And again, because of the tier system, the harder the event, the more resources that you can get. And you really have to do the expert or the medium and expert level events if you want to have any chance to upgrade the various people to their max levels. Because as you can see, it gets very expensive very fast to do that. But from what I've seen, the upgrades to your camp are locked to the chapter that you're in. Again, this being a demo build, I don't have access to see how far things will develop. But it's a great idea providing that push and pull between exploring the world, upgrading your resources, while still matching how far you're able to go with the cards and your stats. And with that said, there aren't a lot of, I think, gameplay affecting issues I have with Deck of Ashes right now. But after this quick word to our Patreon supporters, we're going to talk about a few of the nitpicks that I have with the game next. And now for a quick thank you to our Patreon backers, as well as to our current Game Wisdom sponsors. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. When it comes to Deck of Ashes, from what I played so far, I'm really enjoying it. There are just a few little nitpicks that I have. The game, from a UI or playability standpoint, is very slow. It takes a few seconds for each character to start doing their turn, and this adds up to a lot of time that becomes a little cumbersome to play. Moving around the map, of course, you do it one at a time, and the UI is acceptable. I'm not a fan of the left side UI that you can click on to show your cards, recipes, things like that. It kind of like shrinks the screen a little bit, and it also doesn't really catch your eye immediately. I think I would have preferred something like Slay the Spire, where you click on it and pulls up all the cards on its own distinct screen. But, like I said, the version that I'm playing right now is still nowhere close to being done, and there's always time to fix these little nitpicks. The only other thing that I have is that the general game takes a very long time in terms of each chapter, and I'm sure this will be something that will get balanced. We did a stream of this for about an hour and a half, and we were nowhere close to completing the first chapter or seeing what the boss fight is. And if you're looking for like some of like that quick engagements, like a 20 to 30 minute play, something like Slay the Spire, Darkest Dungeon, etc., Deck of Ashes doesn't seem to go for that. Each chapter seems to be very lengthy in that regard, and if you die and you do have to restart, that is a lot of time loss, which could be a factor for people not liking that kind of permadeath system. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this first look here. Like I said, Deck of Ashes at this time is not out on early access, but it will be in mid-April. And this pre-release build definitely has me interested to see where the developers are going in terms of additional characters, what they'll do in terms of persistence, and even more in terms of the balancing and refinement of the design. But I would like to thank them for sending me a key to check out. If you'd like me to take a look at your game in the future, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Once again, this has been Deck of Ashes, and I will see you all next time. If you're looking for a book on design, my first title, 20 Essential Games to Study, is out now. It is available where most books are sold, and it comes in paper, hardcover, or digital copies. This is the perfect book for anyone interested in learning about game design, whether you are a student, enthusiast, or just a fan. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.